on the air.
Hey, 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 welcome to Skota. You're in time for another great lesson. My name is Gabe.
And I'm Anne-Marie. Gabe, again, It's not Skota. It's Studio Classroom on the air.
Right. Well, you know how I love acronyms. IG, FB, AM, that's Anne-Marie. TP.
Ew, toilet paper, gross.
Teleprompter, Anne-Marie. 字幕机, teleprompter, TP.
Okay, right. Well, Gabe, since you love acronyms so much, do you know what the letters STEM stand for?
That's the word STEM.
No. Each of the letters stands for something.
Oh, yeah, of course. Study the English magazine STEM, S-T-E-M.
Gabe, I really think you need to study our English magazine with a little more focus. Friends, we are continuing a lesson called Meet America's Top Young Scientists. And if you're paying attention, it shouldn't be too hard to spot what the letters S, T, E, and M stand for.
Right, well, let's get started, shall we? Today is a great day to learn something new.
Let's do that together.
Meet America's top young scientist. Rishabh has invested his winnings in further research and in his nonprofit, Samyak Science Society. Samyak helps underprivileged children enter the STEM disciplines: science, technology, engineering, and math. Rishabh is also raising awareness about pancreatic cancer. These efforts make him quite the young humanitarian. Many kids would have simply blown their prize money on a fast car or some other superficial thing. Rishabh has also put some money aside to further his own learning. He's contemplating becoming a biomedical engineer or a doctor, or both. And why not? Almost certainly, the doors of higher education will open wide to him before he even knocks.
Hello everyone, welcome to Language Lab. I'm Jack. 我们今天要看的第一个字是形容词 superficial。在文章里 superficial 是指肤浅的。譬如说 Rebecca couldn't believe she had wasted her money on superficial things. Rebecca 无法相信她竟然会把钱浪费在一堆肤浅的东西上面。如果要说一个人很肤浅，也可以用 superficial 来形容。譬如说Amy doesn't like being with Howard because she thinks he is very superficial. Amy 不喜欢跟 Howard 在一起，因为她觉得他很肤浅。另外 superficial 也可以指外表的，比方说 True beauty is more than what we see on the superficial level. 真正的美应该不只是我们看到的表面而已。接下来我们来看动词 contemplate。To contemplate 的意思是为将来可能会发生的事做打算。例如 After working for several years in the same company, David is contemplating switching jobs. David 在同一家公司工作了几年后，就开始打算换工作。To contemplate 也有好好的去想一件事的意思。比方说 Before Wendy goes to sleep, she likes to contemplate the events of her day.Wendy 睡觉前会去好好想想她当天所发生的事。To contemplate 也可以用来指看着一个东西，然后好好的考虑。例如 Paula was in the store for a long time, contemplating which purse to buy. Paula 在店里面很久，她在考虑要买哪一个皮包。Okay, let's get back to our teachers.
Thank you very much, Jack. Friends, let's continue learning about this amazing young scientist. We read Rishabh has invested his winnings in further research and in his nonprofit Samyak Science Society. Samyak helps underprivileged children enter the STEM disciplines, which is not Study the English magazine.
Well, now you know. It stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. We read on here. Rishab is also raising awareness about pancreatic cancer. Now, that is an interesting phrase, raising awareness. There are a lot of different things that people raise awareness for these days.
That's right. Okay, well, what does it mean to raise awareness about something? This means to build or to increase awareness. And what is awareness? Awareness is knowledge that something exists or a deeper understanding of that thing.
Maybe you've heard people raise awareness for mental illness or certain cancers, diseases, or even social injustices before.
Oh man, there are so many different kinds of social injustices that people raise awareness for. Or one big one that's been pretty influential all over the world is climate change.
Oh, that's
People
right.
raising awareness about climate change and what we should do about that. What are some things that you would like to raise awareness for?
As we read on, these efforts make him quite the young humanitarian. Many kids would have simply blown their prize money on a fast car or some other superficial thing. Have you ever blown money on anything before, Gabe?
You know, I think I have. And basically what it means to blow money on something is that you're spending money without really thinking about the consequences. Usually it's got a negative meaning because it implies that the money has been wasted or you could have used that money on something better. So what have I blown my money on? Well, nothing recently. I have to save my money because, you know, got 2 kids to raise.
When I was in college, I blew so much money on clothes.
On clothes?
I would buy clothes almost every weekend. I would try to find really good deals, but all of that shopping really added up, and I just blew so much money in that way.
Yeah, well, I think that people can also blow money when they visit another country. They're a tourist, and they think, okay, well, I have time now and I have money, so let's just buy everything that I want right here. And then I've done this before, and I get back home and think, did I really need this? Do I really need this?
Not necessary.
Yeah, not necessary. Well, is there anything that you have blown your money on, friends? I think we all have at one point or another. And I think I get the tone of our author for this lesson here. There are a couple of things that he's written from yesterday and today's part of the lesson, and this is one of those sentences. I think his idea about most young people, or a lot of young people, is that they just waste their time and money.
Well, there is an opposite to blowing money, and we're going to read about that in this next sentence. It says, Rishab has also put some money aside to further his own learning. So putting money aside, what does that mean?
Yeah, now if you put something aside, that means you're saving it for a later time.
Many people will put money aside for, like Rishab, education, or put money aside for retirement or to buy a house.
Exactly. And speaking of putting money aside for education, I'm not putting any money aside for my own education, but my wife and I are trying to put some money aside for our kids' education.
Well, we have a couple of educational programs we want to learn about today in today's Info Cloud.
Hi everyone, welcome to Info Cloud. So Rex, do you enjoy learning about science?
I do. I sometimes do science experiments with my kids.
Really? Me too. My kids love seeing science in action. Have you ever heard of the show Bill Nye the Science Guy?
Actually, no.
Okay, well, Bill Nye the Science Guy is a popular TV show that helped kids learn a lot about science in a fun and engaging way. The show's fast-paced host, Bill Nye, had a quirky sense of humor. There are over 100 episodes that aired in the 1990s.
I should check the series out. I appreciate TV shows that actually teach you something.
Oh, then you'll also like The Magic School Bus.
I'm not sure about that. Wait, is that another TV show?
Yes, The Magic School Bus is a Canadian and American animated series. It stars Miss Frizzle, an eccentric teacher who takes her class on adventures with the Magic School Bus, and they're learning science along the way.
So, where does the magic school bus go?
Well, it can go into a human body or into an animal's body. It goes into the batter of a cake to see how it bakes. It goes into science and into the jungle. The bus and the students can transform into anything.
Now that is a fun way to learn about science.
I agree. You can now watch a newly updated series called The Magic School Bus Rides Again. Now, some things have changed, but adding fun and adventure to learning all about science hasn't.
为了帮助小朋友们更有兴趣的学习科学，美国的电视公司制作了一些相当受欢迎的儿童教学节目，像是 Bill Nye 的 Science Guide， 比尔教科学，就是迪士尼公司在90年代制作的教学节目。在节目当中，主持人比尔以相当幽默的风格介绍一些科学原理和常识，让小朋友们更快地吸收这些知识，寓教于乐。另外还有一个相当受欢迎的美国动画节目 The Magic School Bus 神奇校车。这部校车相当特别哦，因为它会载着小朋友们进入人体、丛林或者是任何他们想要研究的这样的一个课题，进入一场探索之旅，让他们可以在这些旅途当中观察各个部位是如何运作的，从科学的角度去看整件事情，真的是相当有创意的儿童节目，拉近了小朋友们跟科学之间的距离。这就是今天的 Info Cloud， 我们下次云端见。
Studio Classroom is on the air.
Welcome back! We've been learning about the young and amazing scientist, researcher, and inventor, Rishabh Jain.
He is quite the young humanitarian. Do you remember why?
Well, one reason is that his nonprofit organization, Samyak Science Society, helps underprivileged children enter the STEM disciplines.
And do you remember what those are?
Salty, tasty, egg, mushrooms.
Science, technology, engineering, and math.
Yes, that. Rishabh is also raising awareness about pancreatic cancer. All of this makes him a compassionate humanitarian.
Let's continue learning and paying attention to what we learn.
Meet America's top young scientist. How did Rishabh become the gifted and generous person that he is? It helped that his father is an engineer, and he has been inspired by his brother and other relatives who work and do research in the medical field. He's seen how STEM vocations have given them the opportunity to make immediate differences in people's lives. That's an outstanding outlook for one so young. Rishabh is committed to helping very sick people in need. He is also providing his teenage peers with a much-needed model of what kinds of things youth can accomplish.
"好，下一个字是动词 help。相信很多朋友知道 help 就是帮助的意思，例如 It's nice to be able to help other people， 能够帮助别人是好事。但是在文章里 help 的意思是有利于或是让某件事情能够形成的因素。譬如说 Tony's words didn't help the situation, it made things worse。 Tony 的话没有让事情变好，反而让事情更严重。或是We had to bike on a chilly autumn day, but the fact it was sunny really helped. 我们必须在冷冷的秋天骑单车，但是因为有太阳，所以好多了。最后我们要看的字是名词 vocation， 要注意哦，是 vocation， 不是 vacation。我们不是要讲度假。vocation 的意思是职业、 尤其是很适合某人的工作。我们来看例句。For Karen, being a nurse is not just a job, but a vocation. 对 Karen 而言，当一名护士不只是一份工作，而是最适合她的天职。或是 Dennis became a teacher, but he always wondered if it was really his true vocation. Dennis 成为一位老师，但是他老是怀疑那是否是真正适合他的职业。再来一句。After being a secretary for many years, Leah decided to pursue her true vocation and become a lawyer. 当了多年的秘书后，Leah 决定要追求真正适合她的职业，也就是成为一名律师。Okay, let's get back to our teachers.
Thank you, Jack. It helped that you explained vocation like that. Okay, let's continue with our lesson. How did Rishabh become the gifted and generous person that he is? Now, that has an interesting sentence structure, doesn't it?
It does. It's kind of different than how we would usually say it in normal talking.
So how would you rephrase the sentence if you could?
I would say, how did Rishabh become such a gifted and generous person?
Yeah, right. Or I would say, how did Rishabh become so gifted and generous? There are different ways to say this idea. I think that it's phrased the way it is in our lesson because it re-emphasizes Rishabh as the subject. And you use this like this to show that the speaker or writer really believes something about that subject.
That's a good point. Here's another example, friends. How did Lynn become the poised and well-mannered young lady that she is? Of course, we could say this sentence in the other way as well. How did Lynn become so poised and well-mannered?
That's right, but the first way you said it kind of emphasizes what you believe about Lynn, that she is poised and well-mannered.
That's right.
So we continue here. It helped that Rishabh's father is an engineer, and he has been inspired by his brother and other relatives who work and do research in the medical field.
Reading on here, he's seen how STEM vocations have given them the opportunity to make immediate differences in people's lives. Here we have a little review for you of what STEM is and a little review for Gabe. Can you remember what STEM is now?
It doesn't have to do with magazines or mushrooms?
It does not have to do with either of those things.
Right, well, we see here, friends.
You can read it right on the screen.
As you can see, and in your magazine, science, technology, English, and math. I mean engineering and math.
Okay, let's keep reading. That's an outstanding outlook for one so young.
Hey, let's take a look at that sentence pattern there. An outstanding outlook for one so young. The word for here is like the word considering. It's like saying, this is outstanding considering he's so young.
I use this sentence pattern pretty often, actually.
Oh, you do?
When I talk to my daughter, I say something like, that's an awfully big bite for your small mouth.
All right, so your daughter has a small mouth, and if she eats something really big, well, of course, it's going to be kind of strange. So that's a really big bite. Considering you have such a small mouth, that's a really big bite for such a small mouth. Think of another way to use that sentence structure, friends. Right now, it's time for us to review with an SC challenge. For today's SC challenge, let's see who's playing with us. As you introduce yourselves, why don't you answer this question? If you won $25,000 US dollars, what would you do with it? So we'll begin with you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Manya.
Yeah.
If I won that much money,
Yeah.
I would put it in the bank.
Oh, you're going to save it?
Yes.
That's a really good answer. My name is David. If I won that much money, I should put it in the bank. I would put some of it in the bank, and then the other part I would use to start building a spaceship.
All right. I think $25,000 might pay for like the wheel of the spaceship.
Yeah, that's about it.
Well, for today's SC challenge, we got 3 questions for you guys. Let's see how much our studio classroom writers and actors know. Friends, close your magazine. Let's see how much you remember. Okay, this is the first question. What does the T in STEM stand for? The STEM disciplines. Here's a hint. S is for science. E is engineering, and M is math. So what would the T be? What is your guess? Do you have a guess, Manya?
Technology.
Okay, that's a pretty good guess. David?
I think it's maybe
Technology?
I also think it's technology.
That's a pretty good guess, too. You are both correct, and since I asked Manya first, Manya gets 1 point.
Wow.
Nice job. Was that really just a guess, or did you know? You knew that.
Of course I knew that.
Of course you knew
Of course
that.
I did.
Everybody knows that. Okay, here's number 2. What word is most related to someone who helps improve the lives of others? A, underprivileged. B, superficial. C, contemplate. Or D, humanitarian.
I think it's humanitarian.
That would be D.
D.
Manya, did you want to disagree with him about that? That's probably the best word, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I don't remember the other choices. So yes, I also pick D.
All right, well, David gets a point here for picking humanitarian. D is correct. Here is number 3. It is game point. Which of these words usually has a negative meaning? A, nonprofit. B, discipline. C, superficial. D, doctor. Or E, model. Which has a negative meaning? Yes, Manya.
Doctor.
Why did you say?
It's not fun to go to the doctors.
Oh, right. That's not the answer. David, did you have a guess?
Model? Because people think models are very superficial, right?
Wait a minute. So why didn't you just guess superficial?
Oh, wait a minute.
One of the choices.
Is that superficial?
I'm going to give the answer to you, David, because you said superficial. That usually has a negative meaning. Friends, that's all the time we have for today's SC Challenge.
Well, friends, today we were learning about how Rishabh had a good influence from his father, who was an engineer, and it has me wondering, is a good influence or pressure from parents necessary for a student to be smart or successful? What do you think, Gabe?
Yeah, it's a good question because parents have different parenting styles and maybe it depended on their upbringing. So I'm thinking back to my childhood or my youth, and my parents really didn't give me or my siblings a whole lot of pressure. Like, of course, they wanted us to do well in school, and sometimes they rewarded us for doing really well. If we got all A's, for example, for one semester, then I think my dad gave us 1,000 NT for each A we got.
Oh, wow.
But I kind of wish that they had given me more pressure to actually excel in school, because I think sometimes that pressure can actually help.
That's a good point. And friends, this is a great question to talk about in English, and we will have a brand new lesson for you next time right here on Studio Classroom.
A good friend lasts a lifetime. A friend gives at all times. A friend cares at all times. A friend endures at all times. A good friend lasts a lifetime. I am so proud to have you in my life. A good friend lasts a lifetime.